tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Okay, hey, how are we doing out there tonight? All across this great land of ours and around the world, you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. And I am glad to be with you today, along with my co-host, Joe Hakos. And we are, once again, loaded for bear here at the Conservative Syndicate. You know, these past couple of days, after Tuesday, hearing that that the Democrats' presidential nominee, Hillary Clinton, was not going to be, no charges were recommended to be filed against her. And we were disheartened on the show, very disheartened. And I'm not to say that we've completely overcome that. But boy, I'll tell you, in just the last couple of days, if I was Donald Trump, I would hire FBI Director James Comey as my campaign manager. I mean, this guy has given the GOP in particular, in general, and the Trump campaign in particular, just a mountain full of sound bites. I'd be at, if Trump is smart, he'd have his video people at work doing overtime right now, just putting together, you could put together 20 one-minute commercials on the testimony of James Comey today in front of the Oversight Committee and his press conference on Wednesday. And I'll tell you what, that if the American public can't see through the Clinton facade, then well, we might as well just pack it in. We might as well just throw the towel in. But we've got some stuff for you today. As I said, everything now is going to be, Clinton is in our crosshairs, and she is going to remain in our crosshairs for as long as it needs to be. So, having said that, let's bring on Joe, my co-host. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing just wonderful, John. It's just so glad to be here. And, yeah, Comey was in front of Congress today. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. The left is just laughing their butts off on this. They think it's funny as all get out. They're like, wow, what? This is so funny. Hillary Clinton's not going to get charged, and Republicans think that, oh, my goodness. Oh, it's so funny. It's pretty darn sad. I don't care how you look at this. It's pretty darn sad that this is what, what do the Democrats want? Well, they want us to relive the 90s, where the last parts of the 90s I remember was nothing but Bill Clinton and some scandal after scandal, after the Clintons and another scandal and another scandal. Every single day there was something new about some nefarious crap that they were doing, trying to do this, whether it be selling missile technology to China, giving North Korea an opportunity to get nuclear weapons, let alone the personal indiscretions that Bill Clinton did while he was in the White House itself. Just to think, really, is that what we're going to have to put up with again? Yeah. Is that what we really? And then this woman, from what Comey says, is just flat out incompetent.
Yeah, I mean, some of the he really did it. I have to hand it to this guy. Here's somebody that I think is probably the most, I'm going to say, articulate guy at skating around the politics of something, even if what he did, I think, is still political. But his ability to walk the fence and to stay out of being an active participant in the politicizing of something like this.
Whoa. First of all, he's a very active participant in this scenario here. But Comey did what Comey had to do. He couldn't come out. Well, he could have, but he chose not to. That's why I lost all respect for the man. And they can stand up there all day and say, he's such a man of integrity. He's such a great man. Well, if he was such a great man, he would have done the right thing and only the right thing. But he tried to do the right thing and the other thing, which allowed him to skirt the issue and allow him to remain active in the Obama administration. Well, he's not part of the Obama administration. He still has 8 years to go on his term as FBI director, but he can be fired by Barack Obama. But, it's just, I want to be part of this, but then I'm going to go ahead and, as you said, he's given Donald Trump just truckloads of ammunition and the American people to use against Hillary Clinton. Yeah, that's nice, there, Director. Very nice, but why didn't you just do what you had to do?
I just looked at this whole thing. By the time, like I said, I didn't listen to the whole thing. He may still be up there in the Hill. The last time I looked, he'd been there for well over 4 hours, maybe 6 hours. I was looking at.
Are they going to make him out to be like Joan of Arc, like they did Hillary Clinton in front of Benghazi? Oh my goodness, she was up there for 10 hours. Meanwhile, 13 hours it took them to kill our people in Benghazi. So are they going to make him some kind of Joan of Arc martyr? Or, are we going to pontify him and make him some kind of saint? For crying out, I don't give a crap if he's up there until the day he dies. Actually, personally. He's doing nothing more than going blah 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 blah.
Well, I'm looking at this thing through the prism of the political theater that it is.
Oh, it's definitely that.
And I'm just saying, in terms of somebody who took the barrage of questions that he took, the way he took them. I mean, and there were even times the Democrats, some of the things they used their time for. It really had even nothing to do with this. It was like, I got my 15 minutes of fame here. I'm going to come out and make some great political statement, like William, what's his name, Clay, Congressman Clay, who spent his whole time talking about some white supremacist website that he believes Donald Trump had ties to, and wanted to know if James Comey had been looking at this kind of stuff. And Comey just like. The look on his face, sometimes the look on, he had us a poker face. I guess that's what I'm getting at. He's got a great poker face. But sometimes you could see him sitting here listening to these guys, and you could just see the eyes would kind of look up a little bit. And that's kind of body language like, what the hell are you talking about? But he was polite, and he answered their questions. And most of the time when he was asked about things outside of his decision, he basically just would not answer. He just like, I don't know. I'm not qualified to say that. Or, I have no opinion on that kind of thing. I'm just saying for somebody who says he's apolitical, he struck me as somebody that's very political, or at least knows that the job is a political job. And
it's supposed to be, but they've turned it into that.
Yeah. And I just found it. I have to say, I'm going to say I'm impressed with his ability to handle things. Not impressed with his judgment. Not impressed at all with his judgment, because as you'll see as we get into it today, the determining factors by which he gauged whether or not Hillary Clinton was guilty of criminal wrongdoing is completely out to lunch in my book. And basically, the end result, if we were going to sum this up in just a few words as to what James Comey based his decision to not recommend indictment, it would come down to this. Ignorance is an excuse. That's really what he was saying today. Ignorance is an excuse.
Well, for Hillary Clinton it is. For everybody else it's not.
And it was basically, that's what he was saying. He said in so many words, so many ways, even though they kept throwing the questions at him in different manner, it was basically, this woman doesn't have the understanding of the job in terms of what it entails in national security and the handling of records and procedure and policy. She's completely out to lunch. And it was, even the way he answered that, I found to be rather impressive. impressive. I'm going to use the word. The guy presented himself in a way that will definitely. He should have been a Republican senator these days because he knows how to save his own ass. I mean that's how I'm kind of looking at this thing, and we're going to go into that today, and talk about that, what took place at the hearing today, and other things are going to be happening here in the upcoming days. We're going to also talk about the IG report. I started poring over the IG report today. Probably need the weekend to get through the rest of it. It's a 80-page report. And I looked at some of the stuff today. Some of it stands out like a sore thumb. But there's some other things that I've got to look up in terms of cross-referencing. Some of the things they put in that IG report, I got to really cross-check their references and their sources so they know what I'm talking about. So we'll probably get to that next week. But anyway, we got to go to a break right now. When we come back, we'll start talking about this. Well, a couple other things I want to talk about before we get to this, because there are some other things going on in the Senate today, and I want to make you aware of this, because this is going to be, you're going to laugh. You think the people were laughing at the left was laughing at James Comey today or Trey Gowdy? Wait till you hear this. You will laugh your butts off when I share with you what's coming down in the Senate right now. All right? Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
All our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish, because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by CitizensUnited.org.
Hey, we're back. And you are listening to none other than the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. And I am your host along with Joe Hakos. And I got a couple things here I want to talk about briefly before we actually get into the bulk of what we want to do today. And some of this stuff, it's just as humorous, or just, I think, even more humorous in a lot of ways than anything that is taking place right now out there across the political spectrum. Let me scroll down here to my notes here. All right. We know that in the last couple of weeks, we have watched the Democrats in the House try to, I guess, how do I want to put this? Try to manipulate Congress into doing what they want outside of proper protocol, rules of order, and everything else. And one of the most audacious demonstrations was, of course, the sit-in. And they have therefore, and since then, they've tried to do a couple other things, disrupt. They're kind of like using the Black Lives Matter strategy. It's like, we'll just be the babies in the room, and we'll throw our temper tantrums and hold our breath till we turn blue, that kind of thing, until we get what we want. Because, that's how a republic operates, So anyway, so what's happening here is there's this little tit for tat going on in the Senate right now. And the first thing that happens here, this was yesterday, I believe. The Tea Party, or the Freedom Caucus, or whatever right extremist label you want to put on the faction within the Republican Party that actually wants to do what they were elected to do, has blocked a move to fund, or they cut off what they call a terror bill. Okay, now I'm just pulled this stuff up a little while ago, so just bear with me here if I stutter or stammer through this a little bit. It seems that the political gamble wrapped up in an anti-terrorism package. Okay, so what happens is they're all out there arguing what they want and this, that, and the other. So, well, the GOP decided that instead of giving them what they wanted in terms of outright gun control legislation, that what they did was the rank-and-file members of the House Freedom Caucus, and about 40 of them, of the least agreeable Republicans in the House, announced their opposition to Ryan's effort. What Ryan tried to do was he tried to present an anti-terrorism piece of legislation, and the reason why the Tea Party rejected it is because Paul Ryan tried to include some type of gun proposal legislation in it, and claimed it was backed by the NRA. And I would imagine it has something to do with background checks or whatever, expansion of background checks. But anyway, the Freedom Caucus said no, and they stopped it from being passed. So the Democrats are all pissed off. Okay, so the Democrats, and it says here that they did it just to spite the Democrats. Okay, well, whether they did or not, that's irrelevant. The point being, the Tea Party faction, we'll just go with we'll play the devil's advocate and go with that label, stopped this bill from being passed. This is something that Paul Ryan put in, and it was basically a concession to the left, including some kind of gun control measures in a terrorist-backed piece of legislation. He was going to hide it. He was going to, sneak it between the lines, and it didn't work. All right? So now the Senate Democrats do, what they do is they come back and they vote down, or they block the bill that the Republicans, somebody in the Republican Party, Ted Cruz, I believe, is one of them, and Pat Toomey, I believe was the other one, put together a piece of legislation to defund sanctuary cities. And so the Democrats were able to block that. So there's this little tit for tat going. Now, the culmination of all this is that today, believe it or not, the Senate Democrats are threatening to block or filibuster any spending bills that has to do with the Defense Department. And so what they're basically saying is they are willing to shut down the government if they don't get their way. And their argument is, get this, guys, their argument is, we want a budget. All of a sudden, the Democrats have decided they want a budget. And if the Republicans won't give them the budget, if they won't come out and tell the public that they're willing to put together a budget that has really no cuts in it, all right? I'm going to read to you from Harry Reid. This is Harry Reid. We urge you, meaning the Senate, to publicly give your word that all appropriation bills considered in both chambers and sent to the President for his signature will comply with the principles of fair funding, parity between defense and non-defense spending, and a rejection of poison pill writers. If you cannot give us such assurance, we will be forced to oppose proceeding to future appropriation bills until you agree to keep your promises and honor our agreement. All right? Now, it's time for a little history class here. Okay? Back in 2013, this same argument was being presented by the Republicans when it came to the defense spending. We want a budget, and we don't want funding going to places where it shouldn't be going. The way the Democrats refer to it as poison pill writers, meaning killing off their little side projects like Planned Parenthood and things like this. The sanctuary city funding.
You mean the same thing that they accused Ted Cruz of doing?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So now, and remember, it was all the threat. I mean, in 2013, the government actually shut down. Remember that? Because of the sequester issue.
Yes.
All right. There was a big debate over the sequester money. Okay, that kind of thing. Anyway, so the government shut down for what? I don't know, 16 days or something like that. It shut down for a little while. And, of course, it hasn't stopped anybody from doing what they want to do. But the political theater again. And here it is now. The Democrats have decided to do the same exact thing for the same exact reason that the Republicans chose to shut down the government in 2013. Now they're threatening to shut down the government. Because why? Because what they're saying is you Republicans want to defund our pet projects, the payment of abortions with taxpayer dollars, the funding of sanctuary cities, all the other things. You know, they're little side projects, they're little social engineering projects. And somewhere along the line here, I'm sure the gun control thing is going to be tied into it. But let's just contemplate that for a moment. The very same thing that the Republicans were ostracized and roasted in the court of public opinion. And what happens now is the media is out there now helping the Democrats tout this as some kind of grand stand against government overreach. Okay? And they want a budget. They want a budget. And they're basically saying if you don't...
I remember 5 years without having a budget in the Obama administration, and then the Obama tenure as president.
Yeah.
5 straight years we didn't have a budget.
Now, it goes on to say the Senate Democrats have also expressed concern that House spending bills have included a number of conservative policy provisions aimed at administration priorities on everything from Affordable Care Act to financial regulation. Remember the defunding of Obamacare that the Republicans have voted on like umpteen gazillion times now? That has never gone anywhere? That kind of stuff. So it goes on to say here that even after the Senate Appropriations Committee, it says the appropriations process has moved relatively smoothly in the Senate. I don't know how, but anyway, with overwhelming passage of several bills to fund the Departments of Energy, Transportation, and Veterans Affairs. But even after the Senate Appropriations Committee approved nearly every bill on an unanimous basis, the Senate has yet to pass many of those measures. McConnell has accused Democrats of slowing the process for political purposes.
No way.
The Kentucky Republicans sidelined the bill funding the Justice Department after it bogged down over a debate on gun control.
Oh, my.
Okay, David Popp, a McConnell spokesman, says Senate Democrats can't seem to take yes for an answer. Okay, every appropriation bill has adhered to the bipartisan caps, and the Defense Appropriations Bill received unanimous support from the committee, even as Democrats routinely attempt to bust the caps. So, basically, here it is. Reid is going to go out in a blaze of glory. He's going to try to make it look like everything is the Republicans' fault. If the government gets shut down because the Republicans aren't happy, then it's the Republicans' fault. If the government gets shut down because the Democrats aren't happy, it's the Republicans' fault. That's the theater here. See, this is one of the ongoing tactics. This is the pile-on strategy of the Democrats. We've got let's remind people just how obstructive the Republican Party is.
And how inept they are because they won't stand up for their own ideas.
Yeah. Remember Barack Obama last week saying it was the Republicans that have led to Trump because they have opposed everything that he's wanted. Okay. Okay, so I'm like, wow. Where did that Congress go? I want to meet the people in that Congress that blocked everything that Barack Obama has wanted to do.
Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C. reality, Republicans funded everything Obama wanted in this last budget proposal.
Okay, so this is what it is. Right now we got these little budget spending bill tit for tat. You won't give me what I want, I won't give you what you want.
That's funny, John. You want to hear something else? You want to hear something else that's funny? I got a little joke here about Hillary Clinton, and this is from Ben Carson's Facebook. Okay, are you ready for this?
Okay.
All right. So, while walking down the street one day, a corrupt Hillary Clinton was tragically hit by a car and died. Oh, my. Her soul arrives in heaven and is met by St. Peter at the entrance. Welcome to heaven, says St. Peter. Before you settle in, it seems there's a problem. We seldom see a high official around these parts, you see, so we're not sure what to do with you. No problem. Just let me in, says Hillary Clinton. Well, we'd like to do that, but I have orders from the higher-ups. What we have to do is have you spend one day in hell and one day in heaven. Then you can choose where you'd like to spend eternity. Really? I've made up my mind. I want to go to heaven, says Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry, but we have our rules, says St. Peter. And with that, St. Peter escorts her to the elevator, and he goes down, 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 down to hell. The doors open up, and she finds herself in the middle of a green golf course. In the distance is a clubhouse. Standing in front are all her friends and other politicians who had worked with her. Everyone is happy and in evening dress. They run to greet her, shake her hand, and reminisce about the good times they had while getting rich at the expense of other people. They played a friendly game of golf and then dined on lobster, caviar, and the finest champagne. Also present is the devil, who's really a friendly guy who's having a good time dancing and telling jokes. They all have such a good time that they're always having such a good time that before Hillary Clinton realizes it, it's time to go. Everybody gives her a hearty farewell, waves while the elevator rises. The elevator goes up, up, up. The door opens up in heaven where St. Peter's waiting for her. Now it's time to visit heaven. So 24 hours pass with that Hillary Clinton joining a group of contented souls moving from cloud to cloud, playing the harp and singing. They have a good time, and before she realizes it, it's the 24 hours have gone by and St. Peter returns. Well, then you've spent a day in hell and another day in heaven. Choose your eternity. Hillary Clinton reflects for a minute, then she answers, well, I would have never said it before. I mean, heaven's been delightful, but I think I'd be better off in hell. So St. Peter escorts her down, and he goes down, down, down to hell. Now the doors open, the elevator open, and she's in the middle of a barren land covered with waste and garbage. She sees all her friends dressed up in rags and picking up trash and putting in the black bags where more trash falls from above. The devil comes over, puts his arms around her and she around his shoulders, and she goes, "I don't understand." Hillary Clinton says, "Yesterday I was here. There was a golf course and a clubhouse, and we ate lobster, caviar, and drank champagne and danced and had a great time. Now it's just a wasteland full of garbage and my friends look miserable. What happened?" The devil smiles and says, "Yesterday we were campaigning. Today you voted." Wisely in November 2016, folks.
All right, I got to go to a break. That's funny. I'll be laughing all through this. I think I'll have to actually mute my mic. We'll be right back, guys. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Expand your life with Extendovite. When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Expand your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right. We're back, and we're ready to get into today's festivities, if for lack of a better phrase at this point. Let's start out here. The committee hearing, the Oversight Committee, had James Comey, FBI Director James Comey, up on the carpet today.
Well, John, if I could.
Yeah.
How about we just give people a chance to listen to Hillary at the beginning of all this, so they have a reference point, and then when they hear the stuff from the committee, they can go in their own mind, just recently refreshed, and hear what and put to what Hillary said and what actually happened.
Yeah, we'll do that here. I just want to kind of set the ground here. We're going to talk about, or we're going to play some clips from the hearing today and comment on them, offer our commentary, our biased commentary. By the way, I'm not going to hide this. We are biased, and we believe this woman should be hung, and should be hung from the highest tree in all the land. You know, and I don't. Well, I'm not going to go beyond that. But we're going to do our best here from now till November to continue to present evidence that this woman is unqualified, that she is corrupt, that she's evil, and any combination of those terms, and cannot be the next president of these United States. So, having said that, just like we did yesterday, we started our clips off yesterday with Hillary Clinton in 2007 lambasting the secret meetings and the secret emails and all the corruption of the Bush administration. So, Joe, you have the con.
Okay, let me see if I can find this silly thing now. I've had it up here for 2 days, and now when it comes time to, oh, yeah, that's right, here it is. I know what I did with it. Okay, so this is Hillary Clinton right from the very beginning, folks, and she's telling us all about her emails, and this is the first words that came out of her mouth when she first told us about her emails. So I want us to go ahead and listen to this, and then keep in mind what she's talking about here, and then when we get to the clips of Comey and all our friends in Congress, this ought to be good reminders then. Okay, so here we go.
There have been questions about my emails, so I want to address that directly. When I got to work as Secretary of State, I opted for convenience to use my personal email account, which was allowed by the State Department, because I thought it would be easier to carry just one device for my work and for my personal emails instead of two. The vast majority of my work emails went to government employees at their government addresses, which meant they were captured and preserved immediately on the system at the State Department. No one wants their personal emails made public, and I think most people understand that and respect that privacy. I took the unprecedented step of asking that the State Department make all my work-related emails public for everyone to see. In going through the emails, there were over 60,000 in total sent and received. About half were work-related and went to the State Department, and about half were personal. And I feel like once the American public begins to see the emails, they will have an unprecedented insight into a high government official's daily communications, which I think will be quite interesting. I have absolute confidence that everything that could be in any way connected to work is now in the possession of the State Department. And I have to add, even if I'd had two devices, which is obviously permitted, many people do that, you would still have to put the responsibility where it belongs, which is on the official. My direction to conduct the thorough investigation was to err on the side of providing anything that could be possibly viewed as work-related. That doesn't mean they will be by the State Department once the State Department goes through them. The system we used was set up for President Clinton's office, and it had numerous safeguards. It was on property guarded by the Secret Service, and there were no security breaches. I feel that I've taken unprecedented steps to provide these work-related emails. They're going to be in the public domain, and I think that Americans will find that interesting, and I look forward to having a discussion about that.
Yes, so she certainly does look forward to having a discussion about it. And, I just love how she had the Secret Service watching over her email server.
They're the ones that must have been using the cloth to wipe the server clean.
Yeah, just keep the dust off that sucker, would you, boys?
Now, in line with that, just remember that. Everything she said there was basically, that was the initial, I think her first time of dressing out in the public, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
That was the first time she ever brought it up.
Yeah, and I think, in fact, I think yesterday we actually played a portion of that clip dealing with her claim that they had followed procedures. And it was also, that she had permission to do it. I think we used part of that clip where she said, which was allowed. I chose to do this, which was allowed.
Yes, and it's where she said, even if I had numerous devices, which could be allowed, that's not unusual. Oh, she was still going around the mantra saying, well, I only had one BlackBerry.
Yeah, and we found out from James Comey there was actually more than two. I think it was up to
more than two.
Yeah, at least 3 servers in the process of this, and numerous devices. If I remember, that's how he put it. Now, getting into the exchange today, we'll start off here with the exchange between Trey Gowdy and James Comey, FBI director. Gowdy, one thing I like about this guy is I'm not real keen on him, really. He's the Tea Party hero, like he was once painted to be. But the guy that comes out and endorses Marco Rubio lost a lot of respect for me. But that aside, I think I like the directness of him when he talks to people, and he doesn't really mince words. And he really tries to go for zingers. You can tell this is a guy that probably sits up at night and sharpens his sword, and just I can't wait to use this tomorrow. And I'm gonna. You have a clip from him, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, let's play that clip rather than listen to my mundane voice. Let's listen to it. Let's listen to it in person.
So this is Trey Gowdy just kind of doing his thing with FBI Director James Comey today.
I'm going to ask you to put on your old hat. False exculpatory statements, they are used for what?
Well, either for a substantive prosecution or for evidence of intent in a criminal prosecution.
Exactly. Intent and consciousness of guilt, right? Is that right?
Right.
Consciousness of guilt and intent. In your old job, you would prove intent, as you just referenced, by showing the jury evidence of a complex scheme that was designed for the very purpose of concealing the public record. And you would be arguing, in addition to concealment, the destruction that you and I just talked about, or certainly the failure to preserve. You would argue all of that under the heading of content. You would also be arguing the pervasiveness of the scheme, when it started, when it ended, and the number of emails, whether they were originally classified or up-classified. You would argue all of that under the heading of intent. You would also probably, under common scheme or plan, argue the burn backs of daily calendar entries or the missing daily calendar entries as a common scheme or plan to conceal. 2 days ago, Director, you said a reasonable person in her position should have known a private email was no place to send and receive classified information. You're right. An average person does know not to do that. This is no average person. This is a former First Lady, a former United States Senator, and a former Secretary of State that the President now contends is the most competent, qualified person to be president since Jefferson. He didn't say that in 2008, but he says it now. She affirmatively rejected efforts to give her a state.gov account. She kept these private emails for almost 2 years and only turned them over to Congress because we found out she had a private email account. So you have a rogue email system set up before she took the oath of office. Thousands of what we now know to be classified emails, some of which were classified at the time. One of her more frequent email comrades was in fact hacked, and you don't know whether or not she was. And this scheme took place over a long period of time and resulted in the destruction of public records. And yet you say there is insufficient evidence of intent. You say she was extremely careless, but not intentionally so. You and I both know intent is really difficult to prove. Very rarely do defendants announce, on this date, I intend to break this criminal code section. Just to put everyone on notice, I am going to break the law on this date. It never happens that way. You have to do it with circumstantial evidence. Or if you're Congress and you realize how difficult it is to prove specific intent, you will formulate a statute that allows for gross negligence.
And that was Mr. Gowdy. Tell Mr. Comey exactly what Mr. Comey said.
Now he goes, I'm going to read you the last, there was a closing line here I think it's worth mentioning here. I'm going to read it. As he says right after this, he says it never happens that way. You have to do it with the circumstantial evidence, or if you're Congress and you realize how difficult it is to prove specific intent, you will formulate a statute that allows for gross negligence. My time is out, but this is really important. You mentioned there's no precedent for criminal prosecution. My fear is there still isn't. There's nothing to keep a future Secretary of State or President from this exact same email scheme or their staff. And my real fear is this, what the chairman touched upon, this double-track justice system that is rightly or wrongly perceived in this country. That if you are a private in the Army and email yourself classified information, you will be kicked out. But if you are Hillary Clinton and you seek a promotion to Commander-in-Chief, you will not be. So what I hope you can do today is help the average person, the reasonable person you made reference to, the reasonable person understand why she appears to be treated differently than the rest of us would be. With that, I yield back. So he went on to say, basically, there is a double standard here. All right?
Yes, there is.
And whether you want to deny it or not, he did deny it. He was asked several times. And he said, well, yeah, I know people are saying that, but that's not the case. There is a double standard. There was a double standard. And unless something is done about this, there will continue to be a double standard. One of the things I want to mention here before we go to the break is that one of the other representatives there, I believe it was Duncan, Jim Duncan, I think his name was. I think his last name is Duncan. I may not have his first name. He's from Tennessee. He proposed there, the time he proposed that there be legislation drafted because what he said is everybody sitting here in this room today has access to classified information, and none of us seem to know how to handle it. And so here we are. He says kind of hypocritical that we're sitting here deciding whether Hillary Clinton violated the law or not when we ourselves don't even know if there are actually safeguards in place to allow that. Now, that shows you the ignorance because there's a bunch of stuff that says what they can and cannot do, but they don't even seem to know. The IG report pointed out that over the last 20 years, there's been a massive dysfunction in the government in the handling of classified and in terms of procedures and policies and everything else. There has been an what's the word? I'm thinking of erosion of diligence in line with what's going on here. So we got to go to break here. We're a little bit over. We got to go to quick break here, and then we'll get back to our discussion here. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate. We want to remind you we have a website, theconservativesyndicate.net. You can pick up this show, any of our shows, anything we've done on the air, it's there. Just go to our site, theconservativesyndicate.net. You want to find out about the show, people on it, what we do, why we do it, you can go there, theconservativesyndicate.net. All right, let's get it back into this, because in line with what Joe just played us, Trey Gowdy, I think for the proper choice of words here is dressing down James Comey. Basically just kind of said, as a prosecutor, you know that intent is very difficult to prove because people don't go out and announce that they intend to do something, especially when it comes to violating the law. They don't just one day show up and say, hey, I intend to break the law. And so when you get into this discussion with intent, and this really, there's two aspects of this in terms of James Comey's testimony today and what he said in the press conference on Tuesday, as to how he determined his decision to not recommend Hillary Clinton be indicted on criminal charges. See, it's not one thing he did clarify during the hearing today and at the press conference on Tuesday is that he was not exonerating her from the violation of policies, something that perhaps should be handled, interdepartmentally.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, okay.
It's just so much crap, too,
yeah, but
John. She broke the law.
Yeah, and then he turned right around and said if somebody in his department had done the same thing, they would have been disciplined, but they would not have been tried. So
yes, exactly. If Hillary worked at the FBI, there would be severe
punishment. There would be consequences, and he uses that word. He said there would be consequences. It wouldn't necessarily mean prosecution, but there would be consequences for what someone does in line with this.
Let's go into that a little bit, because here's what Chavis was talking about, and he goes, "Do you really believe there should be no consequence for Hillary Clinton, how she dealt with this?" And Comey says, "I didn't say. I hope folks remember what I said on Tuesday. I didn't say there is no consequence for someone who violates the rules regarding handling classified information. There are often very severe consequences in the FBI involving their employment, involving their pay, involving their clearances. That's what I said on Tuesday, and I hope folks walk away understanding that just because someone is not prosecuted for mishandling classified information, that doesn't mean if you work in the FBI there aren't consequences for it." Chaffetz. So if Hillary Clinton or anybody had worked in the FBI under this fact pattern, what would you do to that person? Comey, there would be a security review and an adjudication of their sustainability and range of discipline could be imposed from termination to reprimand.
Yeah,
in between suspensions, loss of clearance, so you could be walked out, or you could be, depending on the nature of the fact, you could be reprimanded. But there is a robust process to handle that.
Yeah. So what he's saying here, if there is an action, serious action, dismissal or something like that, that means the security clearance would be revoked.
Or you could be put on 2 years of probation and fined $7,500 and given up your security clearance and not allowed to get a job that requires a security clearance ever again, if you are so deemed to do so, as happened for the guy in the Navy.
Yeah,
left
so
Afghanistan.
Now Comey's basis for not wanting to prosecute this thing, or thinking it would no reasonable attorney, no reasonable prosecutor in the Attorney General's office would take a case like this and prosecute it, is based on historical precedents.
No, it's based on the fact that the last name on this individual is called Clinton.
Yeah. Well, I'm playing the political game. I'm talking from
but that's the reality of this.
Yeah. Because when you talk about any reasonable prosecutor in the Attorney General's department, that's what you're saying. Nobody that is there under the auspices of being there because Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, let me put it this way. Attorney General is an appointed position. Loretta Lynch was appointed by Barack Obama. Barack Obama is endorsing Hillary Clinton. Yes. So why in the world would somebody like Loretta Lynch allow anybody in her department to take a case like this on?
Well, let's even go back a little bit further. Who brought Loretta Lynch into the federal judicial system? None other than William Jefferson Clinton.
Right. So we're looking at this and we're saying, okay, so that was his reasoning was, what he's basically was saying, let's put it this way. What he's saying is, if I had recommended that she be indicted on criminal charges for gross negligence, there is not enough precedence in the courts in the last 99 years to prove that anyone would be able to prosecute her. So he basically took the easy out and just said, because nobody's done it in the past, there was no reason to do it now.
Yeah, because no Secretary of State was ever stupid enough to do this before. Well, we just can't do it now either.
Or corrupt enough to do it. At least
that's an even better word.
Corrupt enough to get caught doing it. Let's put it that way. And Gowdy makes a very good point there. Had we not found this, and it was found and discovered during the Benghazi investigation that she had a private email server, we wouldn't even be talking about this today.
Why? Because it was hacked.
Right. So anyways, guys, we got to go to our break here. We're at the top of the hour. Ron Edwards' notebook and pay some bills, and then we'll be back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Some people say that it's all over for America, while others, like me, believe the best is yet to come. What say you? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, we all can recite the myriad of setbacks that currently beset our remarkable republic. The Obama administration has seriously damaged every major pillar of society. Stagnation dominates the economy and bad morale permeates the military. Government school education is now worse than ever before, and that's just for starters. The giants of destruction of America seem to be everywhere, including the thousands of terrorists roaming our streets, looking to kill, steal, and destroy. But you know what? The bigger the giants are, the harder they fall. The Bible says the power of life and death are in the tongue. In ancient Israel, 10 men were sent out to spy out the land to report on the odds of the children of Israel taking the promised land for themselves. 8 said it's impossible, but 2 said we can take the giants and the land. America, the choice is ours, to either fold up in defeat or stand and believe that it's not over for our republic. Yes, we as a nation have stumbled, but I believe we the people, through providential guidance, will soon reignite the torch of liberty and fulfill our God-ordained manifest destiny of greatness. I'm Ron Edwards.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Saying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, We seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Okay, hey, we're back. And this is hour 2 of the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And we are discussing, we're going to finish, we're going to continue to discuss the hearing up on the Hill today between the Oversight Committee and James Comey. Now, I want to talk real seriously here about one aspect of this. Trey Gowdy, the clip that you heard in the first hour, talking about intent and how hard it is to prove intent. It really is hard to prove. You have to actually, as James Comey was saying, you have to prove that the person willfully decided that they were going to do evil. Now, the context here between what Trey Gowdy was alluding to and what James Comey was using as his reasoning has to do with what Hillary Clinton intended to do by having the several private servers and several devices, of choosing not to follow rules and regulations. When we get to the IG report next week, you will see in there that the IG records that there was actually a system that was set up by the government for employees, government employees, to use in terms of how their emails were actually preserved. And I think it was called the STAR system or something like that. I'll have to look it up. But there was a system that was designed for the purpose of what it was supposed to do was every time a government employee generated an email on a government server, then that would feed into a common central system in which all emails would be preserved. And this, I believe, was in 2010 they decided to do this. And what happened was the State Department, or Secretary Clinton, he names her by name, Secretary Clinton, chose not to do that. She opted out of that system. And that in and of itself was a violation of policy because everybody was supposed to have some type of system that allowed anything that was being generated to be preserved in a central location. Now, we'll talk more about that in detail, but here's the point. Intent, as James Comey was interpreting it, was she didn't willfully do anything. What she did may have been dangerous, but she didn't willfully do it. And it means she didn't have the intent of taking the information and intentionally compromising it. So that was the basis, and he was saying that that's what needed to be established before they could decide beyond a reasonable doubt that she had actually committed a crime. What he was basically saying was she may have committed a crime, but she didn't willfully do it.
Seriously? How come that wasn't used in these other peoples that have been obviously reprimanded, fined, put on probation, etc.? They didn't intend to do anything bad to the information. They just took it and put it somewhere where it didn't belong.
Yeah, well, I one of the things I was looking at here today, and when
they didn't have to show intent. They were automatically, you did it.
Yeah, well, I'm like out here surfing around here earlier during the day, or during the course of the day today. Some of the things that are floating out there in cyberspace. Quote from a guy named Sean Bigley, who's a lawyer whose firm handles dozens of cases a year involving national security clearances, people that are being tried, prosecuted for violation of security issues. He says, I really question how any agency can say someone is a security risk if the President of the United States did something similar. He goes on to say, I'm going to use this as my defense from now on. This is going to be my defense, that there was no willful intent, and so therefore you can't come after me. Or you can't come after my clients.
Yeah. Here, just breaking news. It's just been revealed that prisoners across the nation have requested their last names be changed to Clinton.
Yeah, and one thing I know from my time in government, and military and civil service, and I know Joe knows the same thing. Now, even though the government overall, when you really look at the government in terms of efficiency, is probably one of the most inept, inefficient organizations around. But that is never an excuse for doing something that violates a law or policy if the people in charge decide to do something about it. If the people in charge, if you're in a position where you decide to do something, or whether intentionally or not, and you do something, your superiors decide whether they want to reprimand, discipline, whatever, based on policies that are in place. Now, that may be, they may choose to do that, and they may not choose to do it. But the point being is, the one argument I always got from anybody that was in a position of authority in the government is that ignorance is no excuse. Now, okay, that you can say, well, I didn't know. It doesn't matter. If they choose to come after you, that excuse is null and void. And I can't tell you how many times, as a supervisor, as somebody who was a supervisor, and under supervision, that phrase was floated out there every time we had a problem with somebody. Ignorance is no excuse.
You should have known better.
You should have known better, and if you didn't know, you should have asked. Okay, and so what's happening here is James Comey has actually given the ignorance is an excuse defense for anybody from this point forward to use, because as he also pointed out, well, Hillary Clinton's really no different than anybody else. Okay, he points that out later on. He was really drilled about it, and he's just like, it was like, well, what about Joe Citizen and Hillary Clinton? He said, oh, no, it doesn't matter. I went and prosecuted this case if it was Joe Citizen or Hillary Clinton. Okay,
really? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, gee, I'd like to see that push the test button on that one. I guarantee if someone else tries to do the same thing, they're gone. They're underneath the jail.
Yeah,
it's
not, as Gowdy referred to, was the guy that emailed himself classified information. And where's he at now? He's in prison, isn't he?
Exactly. I mean, look at, gee, this is ridiculous. Oh, gee, my goodness, this just makes me insane.
Yeah, it does. It does. We got to go to our break here. We're in our short segment here. We're going to go to break. When we come back, I'm going to get back on this intent thing, because intent is the argument presented by James Comey. Intent to willfully do something wrong, and understanding what she was doing in terms of whether she even understood it. And this should become the Republican mantra. I mean, we got to come up with some catchy saying, okay, that exemplifies the fact that Hillary Clinton, after 50-plus years in quote-unquote public service, doesn't understand the sophistication of safeguarding classified information.
Oh, yes. Make her in charge of the nuclear weapons and all the launch codes.
We're going to give her the code to the red button, for sure. And, if she can't enter the code on her BlackBerry, would she be able to do it any other way? You know, that kind of thing. We'll be right back, guys. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
All our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right. General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100-foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first, and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
We're back, and you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakels. Now, I want to get back to this intent thing. I really want to kind of drive the point home here, because this is really the essence of the argument by James Coney. He could not find any willful intent to do anything wrong. Now, it doesn't mean, again, it isn't that she didn't do anything wrong. He couldn't establish in his mind intent, which he felt was necessary given the history of prosecuting somebody under the gross negligence clause in the law. And he was basically saying, yeah, she was careless, but there was no willful intent to do any damage, even if the damage was done. And he was saying that was the precedent on which he believed charges should or could have been filed by any reasonable prosecutor in the Attorney General's office. Okay, now, along with that, well, Joe played for you in the first hour, Trey Gowdy's exchange with James Comey. I want to play one for you right now here, because to me, this is the two of the most damning statements here. First of all, because I couldn't find it in terms of actually being able to locate it, isolate it, one little section. We're talking about, I guess, close to 6 hours worth of testimony. But there was an exchange that took place between Representative Cynthia Loomis, a Republican from Wyoming, and James Comey. And really what it was when they got to talking about whether she had done anything wrong. Okay, so they're talking about intent. And he was saying that, the willful intent, meaning she knowingly did something that she knew was wrong. And Comey was saying, well, we couldn't prove that. We didn't have evidence that proved that she willfully did something knowing that she was doing it wrong. What she was doing was wrong. And I'm just going to read you. It's a very short exchange here. And Representative Cynthia Loomis, she says, well, how did Clinton not know this stuff? She was Secretary of State. Of course, Secretary of State would have classified materials. She's a lawyer. She knew from her White House days that classified materials can be very dangerous in the wrong hands. She had to have known. How could this have happened? Comey replied, it's a good question, a reasonable question. But the government has to prove before it can prosecute that people knew what they were doing was unlawful. Now, we know from Clinton's statements that basically she was saying that she knew or she believed, I think the word is how it's being coined now, past tense, she believed that she had permission to do this. She believed that everything was being handled the way it was supposed to be. She believed that all the emails were being forwarded to other people, but she never knew one way or the other whether that was an actuality. And that is how James Comey is using that defense, that she didn't really know that what she was doing was unlawful. Now, let's go to the next one. An exchange between Mark Meadows, Representative Mark Meadows from North Carolina, and James Comey. And this is a clip I'm going to play for you here because it goes a little bit deeper than this. Okay? I'm going to play the one. First, I'm going to play this short clip here from James Comey talking about how what he saw, the recklessness and the carelessness. And then I'm going to follow it up immediately with the clip with James Comey and between James Comey and Mark Meadows.
In our system of law, there's a thing called mens rea. It's important to know what you did, but when you did it, this Latin phrase mens rea means, what were you thinking? And we don't want to put people in jail unless we prove that they knew they were doing something they shouldn't do. That is the characteristic of all the prosecutions involving mishandling of classified information. There is a statute that was passed in 1917 that on its face makes it a crime, a felony, for someone to engage in gross negligence. So that would appear to say, well, maybe in that circumstance, you don't need to prove they knew they were doing something that was unlawful. Maybe it's enough to prove that they were just really, really careless, beyond a reasonable doubt. At the time Congress passed that statute in 1917, there was a lot of concern in the House and the Senate about whether that was going to violate the American tradition of requiring that before you're going to lock somebody up, you prove they knew they were doing something wrong. And so there was a lot of concern about it. The statute was passed. As best I can tell, the Department of Justice has used it once in the 99 years since, reflecting that same concern. I know from 30 years with the Department of Justice, they have grave concerns about whether it's appropriate to prosecute somebody for gross negligence, which is why they've done it once that I know of in a case involving espionage. And so when I look at the facts we gathered here, as I said, I see evidence of great carelessness, but I do not see evidence that is sufficient to establish that Secretary Clinton or those with whom she was corresponding both talked about classified information on email and knew when they did it, they were doing something that was against the law. Right? So given that assessment of the facts, my understanding of the law, my conclusion was and remains, no reasonable prosecutor would bring this case. No reasonable prosecutor would bring the second case in 100 years focused on gross negligence.
All right, you get the gist of that. What he's saying is that prosecutorial evidence or the history of prosecution indicates that in 99 years there's only been one case of gross negligence, and it's very hard to prove that somebody willfully knew that they were breaking the law. And that was his basis. Now, here's the exchange between Mark Meadows and James Comey in terms, and they're what he's asking her here is basically a follow-up. Like, well, how could she not know? How could she not know that what she was doing was a violation of law?
Director Comey, come on. I mean, I've only been here a few years, and I understand the importance of those markings. So you're suggesting that a long length of time that she had no idea what a classified marking would be? That's your sworn testimony today?
No, not that she would have no idea what a classified marking would be, but it's an interesting question as to whether this question about sophistication came up earlier, whether she was actually sophisticated enough to understand what a C in parens means.
So you're saying this former Secretary of State is not sophisticated enough to understand A classified marking?
No, it's not what I'm saying.
That's a huge statement.
I know what I'm saying. You asked me, did I assume that someone would know? Probably before this investigation I would have. I'm not so sure of that answer any longer. I think it's possible that she didn't understand what a C meant when she saw it in the body of an email like that. It's possible.
After years in the Senate and Secretary of State, I mean, that's hard for me and the American people to believe, Director Comey, and I'm not questioning your analysis of it, but wouldn't a reasonable person think that someone who has the highest job of handling classified information understand that?
I don't have to have the highest job in the land to understand that if you're given the job of handling most of the classified information that goes in and out of the White House and in and out of Congress's hands and in and out of the Department of Defense, you would understand that when you're reading an email that was marked classified, that you would know the markings of a classified email.
So she wasn't sophisticated enough to understand that. That's a strange word to be coming out here about Hillary Clinton, who wants to be commander-in-chief and president of the United States. Speaking along that, then you had, in the same hearing today, Ron DeSantis, representative out of Florida, disputed with Comey's assumption that she wasn't sophisticated. And he goes, I don't think that Comey goes, I don't think our investigation established she was actually particularly sophisticated with respect to classified information and the levels and treatment, Comey said. And DeSantis asked, isn't she an original classification authority, though? And then Comey responded, yes, sir, and just exacerbated. DeSantis went, good grief.
She proved this. She proved this in her statements. We played a clip yesterday where she was asked, when she was asked during the time in front of the committee about she was asked in an interview about the classifying of a document. And, when she was saying, well, I never sent or received classified information, and the follow-up question by the person who was interviewing, I don't remember who it was, I think it might have been Anderson Cooper, was saying, well, if you originated information or you originated emails, who does the classification? And she said the State Department does it. Okay,
she is the State Department.
So is she telling us that I generate an email and after it reaches its destination, somebody determines whether it's classified or not? See, that's evidence of a lack of sophistication, understanding of what the procedures and the policies are. Okay, I send an email to somebody telling them that, hey, there's a nuclear device sitting off the coast of Florida. And that would be classified information at its origination.
Yeah, well, it's also evidence of willful malfeasance.
Yeah, so now I'm going to send that email to somebody on my BlackBerry, and I'm not going to I'm going to let somebody else determine whether this is classified or not. That's really what she was saying, and I think that's what Comey is alluding to, that she really didn't understand or doesn't have the sophistication of understanding protocol and policy, and certainly computers. We've talked about this. Her own people talked about her ineptness on computers. She doesn't know how to use a desktop. Okay, and here's somebody that's going to be in charge of everything.
Yeah. So vote wisely, people. And you're upset because somebody, Donald Trump, has a tweet out there with the Star of David, quote unquote, on a tweet. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, the end of the world, or like what I'm seeing today. See, the left is starting now to float these other articles there. What's the words I was thinking of? The promiscuous pictures of his wife. The centerfolds and stuff like that. They're out there floating that out there again today. The risque pictures of the potential first lady.
Well, how about Bill?
Yeah. But anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's that's what they mean by, I think that's what Comey is saying. And note, it's especially remarkable that he says, well, if before this investigation, basically what he was telling Representative Meadows was, well, before this investigation, I would have agreed with you 100%. But obviously, after the investigation, and probably over the weekend that they talked, just before the Independence Day, he came to the determination, this lady's she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Okay, so that in and of itself, that's the fodder. This is what the Republicans need to be floating out there. They need to, in fact, I'm going to do this over the weekend. I'm putting together my own campaign video montage, and I'm going to circulate it everywhere I can put it. And I'm going to take all these statements here and all this stuff and put it together in a montage and put it out there. I'm going to stick it out on YouTube. Let's see if I can piss off every liberal on YouTube by the end of the weekend, because this is what has to be given to the American public, and it has to be presented in such a way that it can't be covered up, it can't be shaded, it can't be jaded, and it can't be skewed. I'm going to use their own statements so that there's no question. And guess what? It's not going to have Donald Trump in it. Okay? Who cares? At this point, who cares what Donald Trump is saying, what he's tweeting? Okay, I don't care anymore, because this has come down to what? Are we going to put somebody in the White House that is in charge of our national defense and our security that doesn't even know how to use email and yet have access and be able to generate emails? If she's going to be generating emails and then asking the State Department to tell her whether it's classified or not, give me a freaking break. And if you can't figure that out on your own, I don't know what else to tell you. Are you going to have people who follow you around to decide whether something's classified or not? And apparently her people didn't know it either. Her people had trouble and have had trouble determining what's right and wrong, because there is no precedence for right and wrong anymore. They have no guidelines. We got to go to break. When we come back, we'll continue right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call. But I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame he owed money to the IRS and they finally cut up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get the Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
All right, hey, we're back. And this is the Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. I want to get back into this discussion, talking about the argument for intent. And we were just talking before the break here, the exchange between Mark Meadows and James Comey. And the obvious question is, Comey referring to the fact that Hillary Clinton may lack the sophistication of understanding what she was doing or why she was doing or whatever, however that is being interpreted. And it was on that basis, he could not prove criminal intent. And that was his basis for his decision not to recommend any charges be brought against her. I couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that there was willful intent to break the law. Not that she didn't break the law, but that she willfully broke the law, knowing that she was breaking the law. And as we said, the exchange between her. But I want to get back to the conversation that took place between Cynthia Loomis, the Republican from Wyoming. And in the course of their conversation, I don't have the transcript in front of me, but I remember it because I went into bobblehead mode when I was listening to it. And they got into the discussion about intent. And, of course, Comey is arguing that he couldn't find any evidence of willful intent to compromise classified information and for the purpose of espionage, which he said that is really, in his other wordings, he's explaining or defining that is the definition of gross negligence. That is knowing that you're doing something wrong and doing it with the intent of compromising the information. Okay? Hillary Clinton didn't know she was compromising because apparently she didn't even know how to recognize security markings on the email she was getting. And I guess she thought when she originated emails that somebody else decided whether or not it was classified. So there's your sophistication argument. But what Cynthia Loomis came back with Comey was, well, when we talk about intent, what are we talking about in terms of her plan and scheme to conceal what she was doing? Okay, now she may not have willfully been compromising information that foreign actors can get their hands on or anything else. And by Comey's definition, that's what he was using. She's saying, what about the intent to hide what she was doing from not only the American public, but for other people in government? He says that was how she was looking at the intent. The criminal intent is that she knowingly violated rules and laws for the purpose of protecting what she wanted withheld from public domain and interdepartmental supervision. She willfully knew, and we know that because even Huma Abedin said that that's what the intent of the private server was for. It was to keep her private emails out from being accessed by anybody else. And in the course of the convenience, let's just use it. Let's just use it for everything because it's convenient. Okay, so there's your intent in terms of criminal prosecution. Now, Comey's counter argument was what? Well, that would not in a public court system, that would not be ruled as criminal intent. That would be a violation of policies, which he then goes on to outline what he would have done or what he would do with somebody who had done what she'd done. And there would be a process and there would be a reprimand. There might be the revocation of security clearance, suspension, probation, whatever. Well, even if that's the case, excuse me, maybe what we need from Congress is a move to do that. Maybe they need to move to is Congress able to do that, Joe? Do you know, is that within their capabilities and functions? Can they move to have her security clearance revoked? And if doing so, that would disqualify her to run for president.
Congress can't do it. That would be up to who's ever conducting these security briefings and wherever she's trying to get it from. But, that would be up to the national security apparatus of this nation. But, whoever's doing that, I mean, who's holding on to the information?
Let's say, would the State Department be within their jurisdiction to come out and say, well, when you were an employee here, she was an employee, okay, she's a public servant, she is an employee. While you were employed
there now.
Huh?
She's no longer an employee there now. She's no longer an employee in the federal government at all now.
Okay, but there's no statute of limitations on this kind of stuff in terms of government, is there?
Yes, there is. There's a statute of limitations on this, and I believe it runs out in 2018.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, so it would have to happen before
2018. It runs out within the next 2 years.
Well, so here, let's just kind of have a little fun with this right now. Let's say Hillary Clinton gets elected in spite of all this. Would it be in Congress's power to now say, you know what, we want to review in terms of whether or not she's qualified to have a clearance? I'm just asking the question. I don't know. I don't have a clue one way or the other.
Well, that's what idiot Ryan is out there going, maybe we should put a stop to this. Maybe she doesn't need to get these briefings because, whoever becomes the quote-unquote president-elect automatically gets the same briefings that the president does.
Okay.
So that way they can make their transition from president-elect to president on inauguration day more smooth, and so they don't go in stone cold in January 2017. They have some kind of clue what's going on in the world. That's what these daily security briefings are all about.
Yeah. Okay.
So what are they going to do? Say Hillary Clinton can't get these briefings? Hell, even as after the conventions, the nominees, vice president and president nominees for each party are going to get briefings.
Okay, so let's look at it this way, and this, I think this would be a wild goose chase if they did that. Went this route. Let's go back. Let's say that she gets elected. And I'm sure someplace soon after she's elected, somebody's going to start calling, and it may not be in Congress, it may be out of the public realm. Somebody's going to start calling for impeachment. Okay, for what? Malfeasance, possible treason or espionage, whether willfully or not. I guess the malfeasance, great crimes and misdemeanors. Something is that the phrase? Something like crimes and misdemeanors. Okay, did she commit crime in just the compromise of security information, classified information? Whether she did it willingly or not, or knowingly or not, it still happens. So I'm wondering, okay, could somebody pursue impeachment? Of course, Congress won't do that because now it puts them back into that red zone of being called sexist instead of racist.
Exactly. So they're never going to do that. They're never going to do what our founders intended to do when you have a commander-in-chief, when you have the executive that exceeds their authority. You're never going to have them do it because they're too chicken crap.
Yeah.
Trying to be nice there. Anyway, okay, thanks.
Yeah. So I'm just, but I wanted to reiterate that. See, Cynthia Loomis, she was saying, and the way she presented it I thought was really great. She said, from what I'm getting from my constituents, people are notifying these Congress people and asking, how did she get away with this? And she's saying, this is what I'm being asked by my constituents. If you're saying there was no intent, the idea that she willfully and knowingly chose to use a private server to avoid disclosure as to what she was saying and doing, is that not in and of itself criminal? That's what she was asking. That's what Comey said. Well, that's a good question.
Yeah,
but he didn't. He never answered it.
No, he's not going to answer it. Of course he wasn't going to answer. But it is a good question. And us commoners are too dumb to figure this out. You think they obviously think we're that dumb to figure this out.
Yeah.
That can't see this. We can't see this from a mile away. I mean, for crying out loud, there's a set of rules for the Clintons and people like her, and there's a set of rules for everybody else. Yeah. So there's, as they call it, the dual-track judicial system, it's not going to work now, is it?
Now I'm going to play you a clip here before we're going to go to the break here. We're going to run just a couple minutes over here. We'll hit the break in a couple minutes. Having talked about all the sophistication, having talked about whether she knew what she was doing or not, whether she could recognize information or not, whether she could recognize marked classified classifications or not, this is Barack Obama on Tuesday in North Carolina.
Those things matter. I am here to tell you that the truth is nobody fully understands the challenges of the job of president until you've actually sat at that desk. Everybody's got an opinion, but nobody actually knows the job until you're sitting behind the desk. Everybody can tweet, but nobody actually knows what it takes to do the job until you sat behind the desk. I mean, Sasha tweets, but she doesn't think that she's thereby should be sitting behind the desk. So you can't fully understand what it means to make life and death decisions until you've done it. That's the truth. But I can tell you, Hillary Clinton has been tested. She has seen up close what's involved in making those decisions. She has participated in the meetings in which those decisions have been made. She's seen the consequences of things working well and things not working well. And there has never been any man or woman more qualified for this office than Hillary Clinton. Ever. And that's the truth. That's the truth.
You can catch all our archives at theconservativesyndicate.net. The Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives.
Folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
If you're voting for the other team, it's not because of the economy. It's not because of the economy. You gotta be clear about that. I mean, even the Republicans on the other side don't really know what the guy's talking about. They really don't. They really don't. You ask them, they're all like, I don't know. Then they kind of...
All right, that was Barack Obama doing his imitation of a stutterer. Once again, another one.
What a comedy routine that is.
Wow. So anyway, you heard there in the clip before the break there, Barack Obama stating unequivocally, man or female, male or female, in the history of this entire country, nobody more qualified to sit in the White House than Hillary Clinton. Why? Well, she has sit on all the meetings. She's helped make the decisions. She's seen the consequences of the good decisions and the bad decisions. I would say she hasn't seen any consequences of good decisions because there haven't been any good decisions. But that's the qualification, is you sit in the meetings, okay? You sit in the meetings and you see what goes down. Therefore, you're qualified. You know, it's just like Dianne Feinstein, like I said, I've said before. When asked what Hillary Clinton did as a senator, the 9 years she was in the Senate, she said, well, I can't really recall anything, but she was only there 9 years. That's not enough time to get anything done. Okay, well, you only got 4 years as president, okay, and maybe 8 at the most. So does that mean that if you don't get anything done, that doesn't disqualify you? You're still qualified, what, because you sit in the office? Because you sit at the desk? That's the qualification? You show up, and therefore you're qualified? I don't think so. I don't think so. And this whole concept or this whole idea that here's a woman that's going to have access to everything in this country. I mean, she's going to know whether the Roswell dummy is real or not. You know, that kind of thing. And yet doesn't have the sophistication to recognize classified information. Doesn't have the sophistication to know how to generate and track and keep the records that she's supposed to as a public official, as a public servant. Doesn't understand or have the sophistication to adhere to disclosure as somebody who sits in the office paid on the taxpayer dime. And most importantly, protect our borders and everything within it. No greater argument. I think I would say in the history that I have been around, the 62 years that I've been on this earth, that I don't see anybody less qualified than this woman, and that would be female or male. The least qualified person to be running for office right now. God help us. I mean, Bernie Sanders is more qualified than this.
Well, he might recognize a classified document. He might understand that if he's Secretary of State, that he could be producing a classified document as he types it.
Yeah, now he may use those classified documents to advance the agenda of democratic socialism. Maybe share secrets with Finland or Sweden so that they can, take over our system or something. But you can't tell me that somebody like Bernie Sanders doesn't know, wouldn't recognize a classified document. That's astounding to me.
So Barack Obama. So we're supposed to be led to believe by the hearings today that Hillary Clinton is just a Forrest Gump dummy and doesn't know anything, can't find her way out of a wet paper bag, and then we have Barack Obama saying she's the most qualified individual ever to want to go ahead and pursue the office of President of the United States. Gee, I don't know.
Well, as always is the case with politics, the truth is somewhere in the middle. Okay, it's not that she's a dumb airhead, and it's not that she's the most qualified. It's in the middle. What it is she knows enough. She is very well versed on how to play politics. That's her qualification. She is very well versed on how to play the game. They know how to use intimidation. They know how to use politics, one position or the other. They know how to intimidate. They know how to hide. They know how to detour and distract. Yeah, in that regard, I guess Barack Obama would be right. Yeah, she is probably the most qualified leftist ever to run for office because she understands the game. She knows how the game is played. And we've got 50-plus years of evidence that everything these people do that they touch is corrupt. The people they touch are corrupt. I saw an article the other day I thought was very telling, and it was written by somebody, I forget who it was, but they were talking about how everything that Clintons touch turns to trash. And they were using the meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch. Now, I'm not saying that Loretta Lynch is pure in any shape, way, or form. She wouldn't have been appointed to Attorney General if she was the clean slate that everybody believes she is. But the point being is that up until her meeting with Bill Clinton, everybody thought, okay, she's a leftist, she's Obama's rubber stamp lady and everything else. But herself, her personality and her ethics and everything else, she was okay. She was okay because within the job that she's been given to do, she was at least doing it within the guidelines and framework of how the job was supposed to be done. But by meeting Bill Clinton privately, she has destroyed her credibility. This is the same thing with James Comey. I don't know who got to this guy. I don't know how he said, unless he just said, I do not want to be the one that drops the hatchet on her. I do not want to be the one that's going to have to deal with the consequences of being the one that indicts her in a court of public opinion. And, that could be just for his own political preservation or just his own, the time he's got left in office as the head of the FBI. I'm on my way out. I don't want to be the center of controversy for the remaining time that I'm going to be in office. That may have been his motivation. I don't know. But it certainly is telling that what he did is a complete sellout. And the fact that it is a complete sellout, one more person has been tainted by the Clinton legacy. Beyond repair, because nobody's ever going to look at this guy unless, of course, Elijah Cummings and people like that will think he's great. But nobody with any self-respect or self-esteem is going to look at this man from this day forward and say, he's objective. He did his job right.
Who's objective? Comey?
Yeah, well, he just any reputation he had in my mind is gone. And it is why? Because whether he willfully decided to protect Hillary Clinton or just decided I'm just going to go the road of least resistance and not be the one that lowers the boom, leave it to somebody else. I'm apolitical. I'm not a political junkie. I'm not into this. As he said earlier in the hearing, I don't give a hoot about politics.
Yeah, sure he doesn't.
He didn't want to have an effect on the presidential elections of this country.
Right.
Hello. And that is right there is politics.
Right. And that's actually hit the nail on the head, Joe. I'm glad you said that because it puts it in proper perspective. He didn't want to be the man that if Hillary Clinton doesn't get elected, everybody's going to say because of James Comey, Hillary Clinton is not president of the United States.
There you go.
Okay? The ultimate sexist. Okay?
There you go. Right there. That's the reason why.
That is it in a nutshell. I'm glad you mentioned those words because it does. It sums it up so well. That's what it's about. It's about.
We could end the show on that. That's cool.
Yeah. James Comey has decided he didn't want to be the guy that kept Hillary Clinton from getting into the White House because he would be branded as the ultimate sexist. All right. We'll be back tomorrow, guys. We've got more on this. Tomorrow we'll have Bob Cardosa and Audrey Russo. I'm waiting to hear what Audrey has to say on this. And I'm sure Bob's got plenty to offer on it also. So they'll be with us tomorrow. Same time, 3 o'clock out here in the West Coast, 6 o'clock on the East Coast. Again, we love you guys. We thank you so much for your loyalty, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.